Prime Big Spring Sale just wrapped up. I'm going to be breaking down what worked, what flopped, and the strategies that led to massive wins for our clients. Plus, now that we've been able to go through this event once, I'm going to tell you what things you can watch out for next time. Whether you absolutely crushed it or completely missed out, this breakdown is going to help you figure out what worked and what you can do next time. Before we get into it, here's some proof. So this is one of our clients, and actually what's crazy is they could have had even more profit, but they had a bunch of expenses they incurred during the 7 days of this deal. A lot of their products were highly profitable. We had one product that purposely lost money. This is a launch. We have a second product that's probably, it also lost money, but it's pretty close to breaking even. And both of these products that were kind of at the tail end of their launch, we're gonna consider these products to be products that are now moving out of the launch and into the next phase. This client actually went through an absolute ton of inventory. So we're probably going to be talking to them this week about all of their inventory needs. Here's an example of another client who had an absolutely killer Prime Day spring sale. Obviously, really impressive results. Margin was great. Tacos was great. We didn't necessarily need to go too aggressive on ad spend. Something that was really exciting is that for some of these clients, we realized this was actually a ranking opportunity, even though traditionally this is not really a ranking opportunity. So let me show you on the screen now something that we did that led to some great ranking opportunities. So we noticed that this product in particular was a really big growth lever for us. And we noticed, even though it was kind of at the tail end of the launch, we took advantage of the fact that all the other competitors weren't running discounts. And so we were able to rank it number one during the actual sale, which was really compelling. Then on this product, we were able to get a really stellar outcome on this product as well, because we were able to spend really aggressively. Once again, none of their competitors were running discounts, so this was a really easy opportunity for us to just grab a hold of this. And then this was another keyword that we were able to really crush on a completely separate account that had a really killer Prime Day. And they were able to go from before Prime Day, they were kind of fighting for fourth. And then by the end of this Prime Day spring sale, we ended up second. So that was another really handy opportunity we were able to take advantage of. Okay, I hate doing stuff like that, but I do it because I want you guys to know that we're serious about crushing it when it comes to things like Prime Day. So by the end of this video, you should know what worked for Prime Day, what didn't, and what you should do next time that there's a random Prime sale that pops up. So first, let's talk about some of the observations. So we saw this across all the accounts we've been managing, and it was fairly consistent and kind of interesting. So the first major thing we noticed was that there was lower total demand than there was for a lot of other previous Prime events. We think this comes down to a couple of reasons. First, this was a longer Prime Day than a lot of the other Prime Days. This was 7 days. Traditionally, it's only 2. The second thing is they kind of just suddenly and unexpectedly threw this at shoppers. There wasn't a ton of messaging about it beforehand. A lot of people who religiously shop on Amazon didn't even really know this was coming. They just suddenly found out that there was a bunch of sales. Another big observation we found was that conversion rates weren't as strong as we might have expected from previous Prime Days. When there's a really big Prime Day and a big Prime effort, when Amazon spends a ton of time, money, and energy trying to get people to these events, one of the big things we've noticed is that, conversion rates skyrocket. They go to the moon. And so because there wasn't a ton of that going on, conversion rates weren't as strong as they might have been in the past. The final major observation we found is that demand really fluctuated day over day. When there's been 2-day Prime events in the past, sometimes there's been some good demand or one good day and one bad day. But the drastic swings that we saw between days during this Prime Day or Prime Days 7-day event really showed that there was a lot of opportunity to take advantage of these deals, but also you had to play your cards right so that you didn't kill a ton of your profitability. So last thing before we get into it, I was actually on Elizabeth Green's podcast just before the Prime Day event, and we talked about a lot of these things. And not to toot my own horn, but a lot of them were right. And if you're curious, you should go check out her channel. She's got a great channel, and the interview was really fun. So lots of great insights, and you can go see how right I was or what things I was wrong about. Okay, so what really worked? The thing that worked the best was Prime exclusive discounts. That was a no-brainer. These traditionally do quite well. It's only a $50 fee no matter what. A lot of people who are getting ready for any kind of event are always a little bit skittish, especially when it comes to giving away discounts. And Prime exclusive discounts were, generally speaking, quite effective. And in our experience, anytime that you run a Prime exclusive discount, you generally see a pretty good outcome. The second big thing that worked for us and worked across a number of our different clients is our profit-centric campaigns really stole the show. They had the best outcome of any of the campaigns that we ran for any of the products. So what do I mean by profit-centric campaigns? I mean catch-all campaigns, loose match campaigns, phrase match, research campaigns, anything where you're really targeting a low ACoS and you're just trying to get as many sales as you can at that lower ACoS. Those really perform because of the huge influx in demand. And so a lot of our clients were able to move many more products than they would any other day with that combination of a Prime exclusive discount and then big budgets for their highly profitable campaigns. So the final thing that worked, and this was not something we really expected. I did not see this coming. Actually, in the interview with Liz, this is the one thing I said wouldn't come true, is what we saw happen is if you did run a deal and then all your competitors didn't run a deal and your product is the kind of product that could rank, then you could turn up your ranking campaigns and really aggressively turn up your keyword ranking on a lot of these major keywords. I traditionally have not seen great ranking performance and rank sticking from a lot of these events, but we were able to see great keyword ranking that we think is going to sustain, primarily because we were able to run a deal when all of our competitors weren't running a deal. So it was really just like an extra deal opportunity we were able to take advantage of during this time. So I'm going to show you a couple of other keywords we were able to rank on. So this product was a product that we ran a Prime exclusive discount on, and then we turned up a ranking campaign. And after we turned up that ranking campaign, we realized that nobody else was running a deal on this specific product. So we were able to go from rank 56th at the beginning of this effort all the way to 15th yesterday. And we didn't have the hourly data being tracked, but I'd be willing to bet that we were actually a lot higher. This is Datarova data, but our Helium 10 data suggests that we might have been as high as third on March 31st. But, for the sake of tracking, we'll always use the same thing. And, even from 50th to 15th, that's a big jump. And we think we're going to be able to sustain that jump because we just needed to kickstart this product. So here's an example of a profitable campaign that really scaled up during the event. So on average, we were spending maybe, $150 to $300 a day. And then during the event, we were between $365 and on the last couple of days, over $700 on this campaign. And ACoS average for this account is probably about 35. And then if you look at the last 7 days, this one was running at 43%, but this is on a group of products we're actually liquidating. So this was a really, really handy opportunity to liquidate products with the campaign. And then this is from that same account. We'll look at last 30 days first. And we were pulling back because we were finding that ACoS was getting a little bit too high on this catch-all campaign. So we were spending quite a bit of money. ACoS was a little bit high. It was, somewhere between 30s and jumping up to the 40s sometimes. So we optimized coming into the event. And then during the 7 days during the event, we're able to see a 22% ACoS, drive a ton of orders across the entire account, get lots of cheap sales that ultimately drove a ton of profitability for this business. So let's talk about what didn't work. First thing that didn't work was trying to create ranking campaigns when your product was not close enough to the benchmark. We have a whole video where we talk about benchmarking and that whole process, so you can go into our YouTube channel and find it. But the general thing we found was if you had a product that didn't necessarily have the conversion rates it needed to in order to climb to the top of the ranks, and you tried to spend too much money on it during this event, it really just went nowhere. The second thing we saw that didn't work, and again, we advised against this, but we kind of ended up having to do it anyway, is not doing any promotions and just spending more money on PPC. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Just because there's high demand on the platform doesn't mean that shoppers are going to choose yours just because you spend more money on advertising. And the third thing that didn't really work was overly aggressive price cuts. And again, this actually ties back to the third point of our observations, which is the over aggressive price cuts that might work during a July Prime Day didn't really work for this event. And the reason they didn't work is because conversion rates weren't high enough to make up for it. So if anyone's watching this video and saying, yeah, I tried to drop my prices a little bit too far and it just didn't work, you're not alone. A lot of people tried that strategy, and we found that it just really didn't make sense for the business. So what would I do for the next Prime event? Well, the next Prime event's going to be in July, unless Amazon throws something crazy at us. So you can stick to the standard playbook. Get your deals ready, get your PPC ready, make sure you're really set up in a way where you're ready to accommodate the massive demand and massive fluctuations in conversion rates that you're gonna see from Prime Day. And then make sure your products are ready and your inventory is ready to go. However, the next time Amazon throws a random Prime Day at us, the things that you might want to think about are: the conversion rates won't be as high as July, but they will be good. Shoppers will still respond well to deals. Demand is going to fluctuate, and trying to rank a product through this event will be a challenge. So the next time that Amazon throws a Prime Day event, just get the deals done. Make sure you stick to whatever deal type makes sense for your business. Get your profitable campaigns really lined up in a way where it's easy to increase their budgets. And focus on maximizing the existing demand instead of trying to go chasing demand that may or may not be there. If you liked this video, you'll love our video about how to rank a product using AI.